Doo 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 doo. Hello, everyone. Is anyone here? Hello, I thought I'd stop in and do a small live. If anybody comes in, oh, here we go. Right in my phone. Ooh. Really? Hmm. Sorry about that, but need to do it. You two don't know how to behave. When you start behaving and start respecting people, then maybe I'll let you back in. Not to you respect, because I know different. I know you guys can be good, but as you stay with her, you're not going to be good. She's just going to cause you guys problems. That's my story. She's hurting you guys. That's all I got to say about you guys. And leave Emmy alone. She ain't doing nothing to you guys. I'm not mad at you two. I'm just upset with you guys. Okay, I'm done now. I want to have a stream. Is anybody going to come in and visit with me, or is everybody just going to stay out? I'll be right back. You are so what? Yeah, cast the pin down. Okay, I'm here. I'm sorry about that, but I had to go take care of Don. Don is sick. Not feeling too good. He's been vomiting and you name it. Nausea, sleeping a lot. Hello to the three that are here. Welcome. Mm. 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 I'll be here till 10 o'clock and see what happens. Thank you to the one that's here. I appreciate it. Okay, we're going to be like this. Ghost Tours of New Hope. Given her long life interest in supernatural, Adele Gamble couldn't be living a better life. I mean, living in a better place. The town of New Hope, with its Georgian architecture, lush scenery, and thriving art scenes, has roots that reach back to the early 18th century, a time when the United States was just 13 colonies huddling against the Atlantic Ocean. As with so many places imbued with a lengthy history, there is no there is more to New Hope than meets the eye. This extra dimension exists just beyond sensory impressions, lingering somewhere in the intangible, saturating the distinct colony air of the place with a feeling that the ghosts are nearby. New Hope streets are full of them. The incidence of hauntings is so high in the old town, a prolific ghostwriter, Charles J. Adams III, has gone on record to say that New Hope might be the most haunted place in Pennsylvania, if not the world. Adele Gamble wouldn't have it any other way. For as long as she can remember, she has been sensitive to those intangibles that her town has abundance. Her early abilities were limited to modest precognition, precognitions, such as knowledge of who was on the other end of the ringing phone or doorbell before she answered. Yet her sixth sense developed as she grew older, communicating with her first sighting of an actual ghost some 30 years ago. It was when my ex father in law passed away, Adele recalled. He appeared to me after he died. She was living in one half of the duplex suite while her in laws occupied the other. When her father in law was alive, every day after work, he would knock on her window and wave as he walked across the lawn. It seems that the old man was determined to continue this daily ritual even after he passed on. A little after 5 o'clock on the day after her father in law's funeral, Adele's head shot up when she heard a light rapping on her front window. All she could do was gape in surprise at the sight of the deceased man as he waved at her and walked out of sight toward his duplex suite. Adele flew out of her seat and ran next door, but her mother-in-law did not tell a miraculous story of her own to corroborate with Adele had just experienced. The man had not come back from the dead. So what had Adele just seen? She tried to convince herself that the vision was some sort of a hallucination. Grieving people have often seen deceased loved ones, as their eyes and ears may be unwilling to accept the sudden absence of a person they used to see on a daily basis. It became obviously soon enough, however, that Adele's grief and her father-in-law's apparition were not connected in any way. The man's likeness returned at the exact same time the next day. Once again, he rapped on the window, smiled, waved, and then suddenly disappeared. This ghostly sequence continued daily for months on end. If I were you, young man, knock it off. The ghostly sequence in your dailies for months on end. He appeared. He appeared before no one but Adele. Her surprise soon gave way to fascination, and she became determined to learn more about the supernatural. She enrolled herself in a parapsychology evening class. There she learned about Ghost Tour of New Hope, an organized tour through the streets of the town. The nocturnal walk took people to some of the most haunted locations in New Hope. She and Ghost Tour founder Addie Kent Thomas Jeffrey hit it off the moment they met. Addie Kent, a journalist and former model who holds a degree in parapsychology, was one of the big personalities in New Hope. After Adele had been on her second tour, Addie Kent asked her to become a tour guide. Adele was so good at what she did that when Addie Kent moved to New Jersey, she entrusted management of the operation to Adele. Ask it only that Adele not change anything in the tour. It's been 10 years since I took ghost tours over, Adele says today, and I haven't changed a thing. Not that there's any reason to. At one at one time or another, Adele Gamble has been first-hand supernatural experiences at most of the stops on her tour. However, whoops. However, it seems that the spirits of the blonde hitchhiker and the ghost of Joseph Pickett are the most inclined to put on a show for spectators. Adele Starling first met with the deceased Joseph Pickett took place about 20 years ago during a Halloween seance. Miss Gamble had just begun pursuing her interest in ghosts, and she was not quite as attentive as she could have been throughout the seance. While the other paranormal enthusiasts were concentrating on bringing forth a ghost from the former artist and butcher, Adele was idly looking around the old building, somehow convinced that nothing was going to happen. She was wrong. It was toward the end of the seance, Adele recalled, and I felt that something or someone leaned over and grabbed my hair. It was a sharp tug, and as Adele's head was yanked back, she yelled out in fear, Addie, something has me. Everyone in the room spun around to see the figure of a man standing behind her. He was big, with black pants, suspenders, peppered hair, a handlebar mustache. It was Joseph Pickett, who has died more than half a century earlier to this day. Adele believed that Pickett was put off by her distraction and that he pulled on her hair to get her attention. That was my introduction to ghost tours, Adele says today, and I'm still there. So is Joseph Pickett apparently one of New Hope's most active ghosts. Pickett has a penchant for postmortem relentlessness that is perhaps understandable given the circumstances of his life. He was a man convinced of his own artistic genius. Unfortunately for him, none of his contemporaries seemed to appreciate his talents, although he spent practically all his spare time painting. He was never successful enough with his art to elevate his station above that of a town butcher. Not that he was all ashamed of his profession, but the self-taught artist was hungry for some sort of recognition in his work that moved him. The frustrated butcher went so far as to paint the interior exterior of his building in his primitive style so that people of New Hope could not help but notice his art as they went about their daily business. Still, no one thought much of his work, which differed just a little bit too much from the formal paintings displayed in the art galleries of America's metropolis. Of course, having to work in his shop by day and having no formal training in the arts did not help his ambitions. Okay, I'll be right back. Hello. Well, it's okay, Mason. It's nice to see you. Everybody asks about you. Where's Mason? Where's Mason? Well, Mason's hiding. But we all miss you, Mason. Of course, having to show. That's good. I've been doing good too. Of course, having to work in his shop by day and having no formal training in his arts did not help his ambitions. So it was the Pickett would go through life an artistic unknown. When he passed away in 1918, he went to his grave without any kind of public appreciation for his craft. Pickett's wife sold what she could for a pittance and burnt the rest of his work. A short while after the artist had passed on, however, his work suddenly became worth something. Paintings Pickett couldn't give away when he was alive shot up radically in value. His Manchester Valley, which now hangs in the Museum of Modern Arts, is currently valued in the millions. Hold on one second, please, everybody. Was valued in the millions. As Joseph Pickett remained behind to enjoy the related fruits of his labor, or is he simply attached to the building where he spent most of his life? Whatever the case, his spirits is one of the ghost tour's biggest draws. Adele recalls one of his most memorable run-ins with Pickett while leading a tour. I was taking a private party through the area and stopped in front of Pickett's place to talk a little bit about his ghost. Well, I was about halfway through my story when two girls in the crowd began to gesture at me, trying to get me to turn around. So I wrapped up my presentation before I looked over my shoulder to see what had distracted them, but there was nothing there. I asked them why they were pointing at me to turn around. They told me there was a man standing behind me. And as soon as they said that, I knew what had happened. The two girls' descriptions of the figure behind Adele matched the description of the apparition that had appeared at the seance years back. It was Joseph Pickett. When Adele informed them that they had just seen their first ghost, the man of the tour instantly grew skeptical. Okay, guys, Adele confronted them. Who do you think that was? They replied that she had planted the man there just to scare them. To which Adele simply replied, Fine. Then where is he now? It was obviously to all that there was no longer anyone standing behind Adele, and the steep drop off behind her made it impossible for someone to get away without making a lot of noise. Well, I tell you, Adele laughed today. Right about then, they all turned white in the dark. Another popular spirit of Adele's ghost tour is the Phantom Hitchhiker. Hmm. The hitchhiker was reported killed sometimes in the 1960s, inadvertently struck by a car while hitchhiking at night. Repeated sightings have made him one of the New Hope's most recognizable spooks. Addie Kent had included the hitchhiker as Adele's original tour, but it would be the few years before Adele would see the ghost for herself. Mr. Red's good. Crook's good. Ouija's good. Salem's good. I got 3 cats now. Salem's a kitten. She's 6 months old. And I got 2 guinea pigs, Trapper and Hawkeye. It was late in the evening quite a few years ago. Adele begins, and another tour guide and myself were in a car, following Addie Cat, who was driving in front of us. We were coming into a town along the 202 when a long figure suddenly appeared in our headlights. The blond-haired man was dangerously close to the road, and Adele yelled out a warning to the guy behind the wheel. A car swerved slightly, narrowly missing the man at the side of the road. Adele got a look at him as they passed. He had blond hair, blue eyes, and brown jacket and brown pants, with a beat-up knapsack strapped to his back. He gazed ahead blankly, completely, obviously, obliviously of the car speeding by him. For a few short moments, Adele was perplexed, unable to understand how the man could be standing where he was, where the side of the road dropped off into the Delaware. It was then that she realized what he had what she had just seen. It was the same ghostly hitchhiker about which she had told many people who went on her ghost tour. Do you mind? Can you quit, please? Now I gotta find my place. When they got into their cars in New Hope, Adele was quick to question Addie Kent about what she had just seen. Although she hadn't seen the figure her 2 guides were talking about, the ghost tour founder smiled knowingly. Yes, Adele, she said, that was him. The story of the ghost hitchhikers has been corroborated, corroborated, yeah, by many people in and around New Hope. Repeatedly spotted either on Bridge Street or the 202 coming into town. The apparition has caused more than one person to jump when Adele reached the Phantom Hitchhiker segment on her tour. There have been people on the tour who have almost been beside themselves. When I mentioned the hitchhiker, Adele said, those who have reacted usually have had some past experience with the hitchhiker, either having seen him or having heard him at one time or another. Mostly they're sort of relieved that what they've seen or heard isn't as nuts as they might have initially thought, relieving doubts and provided information about the supernatural, all in an evening's work for Adele Gamble. Next story is called The Hound of Colebrook Furnace. Okay. I know you like my story times. Not too many people are here. They're all everywhere else. That's okay. Well, I guess here's a story for tonight. Hope you all enjoy it. And Mike, Belinda, stop. You are not worth my time. Like I said, you guys are better than her. You are better than her. You don't need all that drama. All you're doing is bringing drama on yourselves. You don't need it. Well, I'm going to get off here. Everyone have a good night. I hope everybody enjoyed my stream. Goodbye.